So hi, welcome to the Thursday stream. Just oh. I was a little bit hot. So hormonal thing. So I've put the fan on. So hi, welcome to the stream. So in the week, my fish tank filter stopped working, so we had to go and buy another one. And maybe you can tell you can't hear the audio sound you normally hear on the stream. Normally you can hear the bubbling sound, but you can't hear it with this new newer model. So I've lost that lovely relaxing sound in the background. Yeah. So we'll have to make do without it. So I do these broadcasts on YouTube every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. And I'm doing a Zoom meeting on Saturday, the 3rd of October at 2 p.m. 1400 hours. So if you go to my website and go to upcoming events, you can see more about that there and how to take part in that. And that's once a month. Yeah, so that's kind of all at the moment. So this stream has no title, so it's just Thursday's stream, and so we will see what is spoken about. Actually, I was thinking before the stream started how this subject is I've just been to a homemade meetup thing. Really lovely meetup. But I was just thinking how non-duality is just so not a popular subject or even known about in most in most circles. It's not known about or spoken about or mentioned or even heard of. And you can forget that you're into this subject. You forget how it's not such a mainstream subject. It's not even spoken about. I think we're quite a small community. Um, and just how beautiful it is that there are others who have heard of this subject. There are others who talk about it, listen to it, have heard of it, are interested in it, are drawn to it. It's really I don't know, it just makes you appreciate the small community that we have. So, what is naturality? What's this obscure niche subject? I would be a really awful teacher, I think. Like a really awful teacher. What is non-duality? This is non-duality. This is non-duality. All that is seeming to appear is non-duality. And all that isn't appearing is non-duality. So what is being perceived and what isn't being perceived is non-duality. and they seem to come together, which they don't come together really, but they seem to come together. But what really seems to happen is something that seems to block this togetherness disintegrates, and there is togetherness, there is wholeness, there is this happening, this completion happening, this life happening, everything just happening, appearing, without it happening to someone. Or without there being a liver of life, a liver of this, an experiencer of this, just full on life, what is happening. And that's the way it is. That's it can't be anything other than that. It can't be anything other than life happening, than the fullness of life appearing. So it can't not be this. There can't be a loss of this. And there can't be a finding or a remembering of this. But there seems to be a dream that is telling the story of this not being the way it is, telling the story of someone being separate from life, somebody witnessing life, experiencing life. And that's just the way it appears for humans with the thinking mind, the thinking faculty of humanness, the story of someone living life. This seeming contraction, this seeming holding or claiming of the feelings, of the thoughts, as if there's someone, an actual someone living. But that's not true. It's never been true. That this storyteller is an actual somebody. So if this storyteller who's claiming to actually be somebody real, a solid somebody, if this storyteller isn't real, then there's freedom. This is freedom. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. The mind imagines all these grandiose experiences, grandiose feelings, grandiose thoughts and ideas, these complex, grandiose stories of attainment, these grandiose stories of getting somewhere, of understanding something, of working something out, of correcting or fixing something. These grandiose journeys in time to a better future, to a more perfect, a more enlightened, a more holy, a more healthy future, where there's no more pain, there's no more uncertainty, where there's no more conditioning, where there's no more issues or traumas or whatever. This endless path of future, this endless path of getting there, of working towards it. And what is being described here is that what is longed for, what is deeply longed for, is this this resting, this restingness, restfulness of what this is. And that can't be believed by the mind. The mind can only imagine things. You can only imagine having the car, the career, the partner, the friend, the money, the security, the pleasure, the high. You can only imagine things and experiences. So it will always be working towards an experience, a pleasure, a form, a thing. And that's okay. That's okay. But when there's this identification with that, with the mental activity, with the mind, it becomes uncomfortable. It's like you've jumped onto the back of that energy that's looking to time, to future, to seeking, to arriving, and you're riding on the back of it. and it's full of, there can be excitement in that, excitement and fun and the thrill. It's quite creative, the mind, possibilities of future, like possibilities of creation, really. But when there's this sense of you being that, and you only being that, then so many other feelings come of discomfort, agitation. Like there's a agitation because like holding on, waiting for the next thing, believing when that thing arrives, when you get to this next place, then there can be that resting, that letting go and the resting. But it's never true. The mind then has another goal, another possible projection of what could deliver this thing it's imagining will release it from its prison. But the prison is that mind, that identified mind. That's the confinement, the limitation. That's the agitation. And the longing for the end of that. The longing for home. The longing for the end of you. But that longing, won't be delivered or satisfied in time. It can't be. But when the mind is seen for what it is, when thought is seen for what it is, when time is seen for what it is, it's so clear that what is longed for can't ever be found in illusion, in time. It doesn't exist. It isn't real. It isn't true. It isn't what's happening. Time isn't happening. So what is being spoken about isn't something that the mind can imagine. It isn't something the mind can think about. You can't work this out. Because it already is. It already is. It's already the experience. It's already what's happening. There's nothing to work out. You only really work out things that aren't happening. So you work out problems that aren't actually happening right now. You imagine something and then try to work it out. You imagine tomorrow and then try to plan it out. You can't really work out or plan or solve what is happening. It just is. So this isn't something that the mind is wanting. The mind doesn't want this. It isn't the mind's interest. The mind's interest is in thinking, is in planning and problem solving. And it's just a function of being human and having a human brain, which is very useful. But what's being spoken about is not contained within that function. And that's why it's a radical teaching or message or pointing. Not because it's radical, but because it because it is already. It's available. It's all there is. Like the most obvious thing. And it feels like because it's so obvious and it's just the way it is, maybe it developed, this mind developed more and more because maybe there was like, okay, this is, maybe there was like boredom or something. So the mind grew and created these landscapes or something, internal landscapes, imagining this and that. And then it created the idea of me, the idea of someone separate. And it got lost in its creation. Creation got out of control. Lost in its dream. And so in that way you could describe non-duality as like a pin, or they call it a thorn. Yeah, a thorn popping the dream bubble, the dream balloon. Imagine it growing so big, this balloon of me and language, and this creativity grew so complex and intricate and became really intense. The suffering of being lost in this creation, and the wanting, the longing to go home, find freedom again, to end the dream, and the popping of that balloon. And there is this, back to the freedom, back to what is actually happening before the pen went to paper, creating. Back to this, back to the room, back to the fan and the light and the camera and the computer and the sound of the voice and the breathing and the sensations and the feet on the floor. Back to looking and hearing. Back to life. Back to what's actually happening. Okay, so I'll just put Skype on, and then you can um, Oh, no internet connection. Oh, connecting. Hi Rebecca. So hi Prachi. So the room in which I am in is a dream too. Just like in the dream, everything appears solid. So also the room appears solid. Everything appears solid. So we would call objects solid. So yeah, everything seems to be like that. But that's only in interpretation. That's only in labeling. That's only in our language for things. So I could feel these chair arms and say these are solid. There's a feeling of them. I could call that solidness. They feel solid and real. They exist. There's a feeling or perception of them. But that doesn't actually mean anything. So we're giving the word solid actual meaning, significance, as if that means something really important. It doesn't mean anything. Solidness doesn't mean anything. We've made that up. We've made the meaning up. We give some things more importance over others. Some things have higher and deeper meaning than others. But this is just in our human creation, our human language. We would say, what's a high? What's a high? A high thing? I don't know, a priest or something. A priest is higher than a piece of poo on the floor or something, or an ant. Or so if we had a man, a priest here, and an ant here, we would say the priest is more important or has more meaning and value. But actually, they're just appearing, the man and the ant, and we've named and labeled these things, given them names, and then meaning attaching to these objects. So the room being solid means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Why does it mean something? So in that way, everything is dream-like, because without labels and without the meaning, without labeling things, you can't really say anything exists. There's just what is. Just what is. Very dreamy. Hi, Lucas. Thank you, Prachi, for your question. Hi, Deepa. When I trace my attention backwards into myself, into the core of my being, it feels like love. Is that my true nature? That's beautiful. But who's asking that question? Like, who is unsure of that? So that it feels like love. And then there's a question, is that my true nature? So if I was to respond and say, yes, it is, would that really satisfy that questioner? Would it be like, okay, it is my true nature. I can now relax. I can now accept it. No, you're right. It doesn't satisfy the question. I'll just call you back. I'll call you back in a minute, Lucas. I think Deepa's replying, so I'll let her finish. I don't know where the question comes from. It seems to come from an energetic contraction, I think, from a sense of unease. Yeah, yeah. But it seemed really important at the time. So there was this sense of love, and then this question of sense of unease popped up with a really important question to ask. And it seemed as if that was more important than the love. Like it had an energy to it, a sense of importance and urgency. Listen to me. Follow me. And it's really different. Can you describe it as different to how we've been brought up? So we've been brought up with the mind, this voice being like the highest thing. It's who we are, this voice, this internal monologue. It has the highest priority. It's what's the most true. This internal me, this internal voice speaking, this thinker. What seems to happen in this awakening is this revealing of that which is beyond thought. But the thinking energy is just like a slither, like it's just an appearance appearing. there's a there's a dimension that isn't thinking. There's a part of being that isn't thinking, isn't limited to a thinking mind. And it isn't somewhere far off in time, in future, elsewhere. It's right here. The mind isn't king. It really isn't. And that's discovered here, not in the mind, in future. It can't be. Right here, there is no time, there is no future. Thoughts appear and disappear. Here. Everything does. Thank you, Deepa. Hello?
Hello? Okay. It's me, Lucas.
Yes.
Yes. As always, I want to share about what I feel about your video.
Yeah.
And I must say that today's video is is very different because always I like listen to you because I feel everything what you say and your appearance
Yeah.
your is what I is what I need, what I like, what is good. But today the main thing I feel is something totally between your words.
Yeah.
Because you say some things about mine, is mine important or not?
Yeah.
And I sometimes thinking about all these things, and maybe even not agree with you, yes?
Yeah.
But you talking, and I thinking there is thinking. Yeah, I agree with this, don't agree with this. But in the one moment I feel that everything is one. Just because you say some different things, but the feeling something like from background.
Yeah.
You today you don't say so many about this, that we are oneness or something like that.
Yeah.
But the feeling about this coming to me with your appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
so I think the yes, it's, you never know what you find. What I never know what I can find in your appearance on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's worth to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you ever experience something like some words you agree, don't agree, but something more about?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because it's not in the language, in the words being spoken. It's something else. It's something else that's being pointed at or highlighted. that isn't limited to language or thinking or agreeing or disagreeing or the mental activity. It's beyond that. It's beyond that.
Yeah.
And that's the resonance beyond the intellectual capacity. It's something else screaming.
Yes. So that main observation.
Yeah.
And
yeah, 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 yeah. It's really, it's amazing, really. It really is amazing.
there is so many dimensions. Every dimension is important in some way.
I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean?
I don't know. Am I saying a good word, a right word? But dimension, like the dimension of words, the dimension of something else. Yeah, I think everything is important, maybe, because today I feel your stream more in my body than my mind, maybe. But maybe someone else looking only for words and maybe also take them.
Yeah.
Like something important. So it's hard to say what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Sorry, but I feel sometimes also too. Okay, so that's what I want to say. Maybe today I will send the greetings to Prachi, to Deeper, to Maria, yeah, and also for you.
Okay.
So thanks.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. Bye. How do you rate this call? Oh. Thank you, Lucas, for calling in. Yeah, I really appreciate you being so open and vulnerable and expressing whatever comes up and comes out. Really beautiful. That not knowing, and yet that vulnerability of not knowing. Thank you. Okay, so that is all for this evening. So yeah, I'm doing the Zoom on Saturday, so you can join that. on Saturday. Go to rebekahmaroon.com under upcoming events, I think, and you'll see how to join that there. So thank you for joining this evening. I shall say good night. Good night.